Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz. Donald Trump's special envoy for Ukraine, Kellogg, has arrived in Kyiv to discuss Ukraine's security and sanctions against Russia. Upon arrival at the train station, the US special envoy was greeted by the head of the Ukrainian Presidential Administration, Andriy Yermak. Yermak wrote on social media that Ukrainian officials and Kellogg will discuss Kyiv's defense matters, weapon deliveries, as well as ways of strengthening the cooperation between the United States and Ukraine. At the same time, the head of Volodymyr Zelensky's administration noted that Russia does not want a ceasefire and said that Kyiv fully supports Donald Trump's principle of peace through strength. The most important point of Kellogg's week-long visit will be talks with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Ukrainian officials are expected to brief him on the current situation on the front lines and appeal for increased pressure on Russia.
I am grateful to everyone who is truly steadfast in defending our state, our independence, and our people. Today we also discussed the upcoming visit of General Kellogg. Negotiations on further support will take place during the week. I instructed Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi and Chief of the General Staff Natov to present the information we have on Russia's capabilities and our prospects. We are also preparing meetings between President Trump's special envoy and the heads of the security service of Ukraine and our intelligence services. The information provided will be comprehensive. We count on the United States fully understanding what can be done to compel Russia to peace.
US President Donald Trump said he will send Patriots to Ukraine, while he did not specify if he means the entire air defense systems or just the missiles. Trump said Washington would be reimbursed for their costs by America's European partners.
I haven't agreed on the number yet, but they're going to have some because they do need protection. But the European Union is paying for it. We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice and then he bombs everybody in the evening. But there's a little bit of a problem there. I don't like it.
In an interview with the Financial Times, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said Germany will not supply Ukraine with Taurus cruise missiles. At the same time, Pistorius confirmed that Berlin will provide Kyiv with Patriot air defense systems purchased from the United States. Pistorius noted that Germany no longer has enough Patriots to supply from its own stockpiles. The country has only 6 Patriot batteries left, which is too few to complete NATO's new capability goals and at the same time send some of these systems to Ukraine. He also said that the German defense industry must ramp up its capabilities, including production of ammunition, drones and tanks. Pistorius's comments about not sending the Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine come just 2 weeks after German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said the discussion concerning these systems was still ongoing. Now, the Taurus missiles were heavily sought after by Kyiv because of their capability of striking targets 500 kilometers away, a distance greater than other long-range weapons Ukraine has received from its allies. According to Mushfiq Al-Asghali, a member of the Azerbaijan Press Council's board, espionage was a factor influencing arrests of employees at the Russian-sponsored news agency known as Sputnik Azerbaijan. An investigation into the activities of the agency has been launched by Azerbaijani authorities.
The fact of espionage by the editorial staff of Sputnik has not been revealed in Azerbaijan alone. I would like to note that such facts have been exposed in many countries, especially in more than 30 European countries. And Sputnik activities have been banned in those countries, and their employees have been expelled from there. All of this is espionage. This activity of Sputnik employees, along with those of Russia Today, and the cooperation of the staff with Russia's special services, are well known. So, Azerbaijan has taken measures against them after discovering certain facts.
Firefighters in Poland have successfully battled a massive blaze at a factory near Warsaw. The cause of the fire is yet to be determined. Flames tore through a foil production hall in the city of Minsk Mazowiecki on Sunday, about 40 kilometers east of the Polish capital. The fire broke out early in the evening, quickly engulfing the entire 1,000-square-meter facility. Around 280 firefighters were on the scene, with thick plumes of smoke visible for miles. Everyone in the vicinity of the hall managed to evacuate safely. Foreign Affairs ministers are meeting in Brussels to discuss the response to US President Donald Trump's latest eye-watering 30% tariff threat. The European Union's Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič told reporters before a meeting that if these import levies are implemented, it could send the €1 trillion transatlantic trade relationship spiraling. More now from our EU correspondent Angela Skujins in Brussels.
Ministers from across the 27 EU member states have met in Brussels on Monday to hammer out a response to the latest tariff threat levelled by US President Donald Trump on Saturday. Now, the 47th President of the United States said that he would impose 30% import duties on certain European goods by August the 9th if a negotiated deal cannot be brokered before this time. Now, those foreign affairs ministers are meeting to figure out their response to this latest news. We just heard from the European Commissioner for Trade, Maroš Šefčovič, who stated that the $1.7 trillion value economy comprising this transatlantic relationship could be at risk if this 30% import levy is implemented. He also sounded surprised by this news, stating that he has held back-to-back meetings over the last couple of months since US President Donald Trump's Liberation Day announcement, hoping to find some negotiated outcome that would be beneficial for both sides. We also heard in the last week that US President Donald Trump spoke over the phone with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and we heard spokespeople from the Berlaymont in Brussels stating that this was a good call centred on trade. So this latest news is a bit of a surprise for some of us in the Belgian capital, but we know that those ministers will be discussing the next steps forward. This could be implementing retaliatory tariffs. Ursula von der Leyen has stated this would be delayed, but could be implemented if no outcome is reached. We also know that the EU is busy sealing and shoring up trade deals with other bilateral partners. We saw that representative from Indonesia visiting Brussels on Sunday. We also know the EU is busy shoring up a trade relationship with India in particular, but there'll be a press conference roughly at 2:30 in Brussels on Monday where we're hoping to find some kind of formal outcome from these talks. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
In an exclusive interview for TVP World, Ignacy Morawski, chief economist at the Puls Biznesu newspaper, discussed the EU's potential response to the ongoing trade tensions with the US, particularly regarding President Trump's tariffs. Morawski suggests that the European Union might initially take a diplomatic approach, hoping to secure concessions from Trump.
I suppose that the answer from the European Union will be to wait and negotiate. The first words from major European politicians indicate that the response at first will be calm. So everyone expects that Donald Trump will back down, at least to some extent. So he will withdraw from the most serious tariffs. If not, we will see. If not, then certainly there will be a trade conflict. And the answer will be very difficult because Europe exports much more to the US than it buys from the United States. So EU is more exposed to the effects of trade war.
People smugglers have been caught by Poland's newly installed checks at the Lithuanian border. Warsaw reintroduced the temporary stops with Germany and Lithuania earlier this week in response to what Prime Minister Donald Tusk has called an uncontrolled flow of migrants.
A woman was detained in the northeastern Polish city of Ełk on Sunday. The reason? Illegally crossing the Polish-Lithuanian border with two Syrian nationals. The woman is said to be a stateless Latvian with Lithuanian residence. The border guard noted that the illegal crossing will have consequences.
The woman will face charges for organizing illegal border crossings. The migrants will be handed over to the Lithuanian side.
On the same day, the border guards detained 3 Latvians in Kryvyane, a location designated for temporary controls on the Polish-Lithuanian border. The individuals were transporting 3 Somalis and a Sudanese person across the border. Saying, quote, more human smugglers detained, Jacek Dobrzyński, spokesman for the Polish Minister of Internal Affairs and Administration, listed the repercussions.
The Latvians will hear charges for organizing illegal border crossings. The foreigners will be refused entry and will be handed over to the Lithuanian services. There is no doubt that they were heading further west along the route from Belarus through Latvia and Lithuania.
The developments follow the Polish government's reintroduction of temporary border controls on Poland's frontiers with Germany and Lithuania. According to the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, the decision was rooted in security considerations.
We've been struggling with organized illegal migration. And when I say organized, I mean it's been orchestrated, let's call it what it is, by the Lukashenko regime with support from the Putin administration. And the consequences have been very serious.
The tightened border control measures, which will last for a period of 30 days, are coordinated with the European Union.
Reintroducing temporary internal border controls is possible. We are in close contact with the Polish authorities and with the authorities of all member states concerned. And it is important, and let me add that neighboring countries with temporary border controls coordinate closely with each other to limit the impact of these border controls to a minimum.
According to the EU, temporary reintroduction of border controls is possible in cases of serious threats, for example, to internal security. They also ordered that controls should only be implemented as a last resort in exceptional circumstances. For TVP World, I'm Sonia Gatabishchan.
After approximately 2 weeks in orbit, the crew of the Axiom 4 mission, including Polish astronaut Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski, are leaving the International Space Station on Monday.
2, 1.
According to the European Space Agency, the return journey is expected to begin at around 5 minutes to 11 a.m. Central European Time. This will be followed by the Dragon capsule's undocking procedure at 1:05 p.m. if weather and technical conditions permit. The mission began on the 25th of June when a historic space flight with Polish astronaut Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski was launched. The Dragon capsule docked at the International Space Station 1 day later. Over the course of the mission, Uznański-Wiśniewski conducted a total of 13 scientific experiments. He is the second Pole in history to ever travel into space. Now, Chelsea Football Club dominated Paris Saint-Germain to win the Club World Cup final in New Jersey's MetLife Stadium. Last night's game saw the London club win 3-0 against the Paris club with goals from Cole Palmer and João Pedro.
After an incredibly successful season which saw them win the club's first Champions League, PSG were heavily favourites in the match against Chelsea. In 2025, the London club managed to win Europe's third-tier Conference League and ended their league campaign in the top 4. The club opened the scoring in the 22nd minute, with Cole Palmer placing a precise shot in the lower left-hand corner of the goal. Only 8 minutes later, the young Englishman scored again in the exact same way. Just before the break, João Pedro sealed the deal for Chelsea, making it 3-0. While PSG attempted to combat in the second half, they put the final nail in their own coffin. In the 85th minute, a frustrated João Neves pulled Chelsea's defender Marc Cucurella's hair, which resulted in Neves being set off the pitch. 11 minutes later, after added time had expired, Chelsea players and staff celebrated winning their second international trophy of the season. The World Cup trophy itself was presented by the US President Donald Trump.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please stay with us here on TVP World.